I was just about to text you back and then I had to do something.
So dirty.
They didn't want
So dirty.
Oh my god, so dirty.
I was laughing.
I saw it. I'm like, oh.
That's the senator that's being sworn.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
How many of your friends? We're live, guys.
Oh. Guys, we are live. Everything you say is now on YouTube.
Thanks, Noah.
Here, Lexi.
So what you guys might want to do is just make an announcement at some point after everybody is here to be aware that the camera's there and to not block it.
Yeah, okay.
Like since my page is a little smaller, it's just like. Thank you.
I guess. Guys, these pigtails are pulling off from Megan. This was one too I had and I did not want
Where'd
to
the
wear
glasses go?
It was legit the only one that.
Oh.
VR chair. Wow.
I'll create a role. It's hard not work, but that's create a role for.
Yeah, well, it's also never been like written that it's there. It's just been implied.
There's no one's
I'm used to the side, the gavel.
Your hammer time? Where you get to veto?
I'm not gonna say anything.
I want a veto.
Can I be President Kaufman for Senate Halloween?
That would be the funniest.
What are you gonna wear?
I don't
Are you
know.
gonna be in Senate President Kaufman or out of Senate President Kaufman?
I don't know yet.
Out of Senate is jeans and a flannel since it's the fall.
I can manage.
You should get or you could wear shorts and a t-shirt and then get like a stick on Yoda tattoo and put it on your leg.
I'll bring in my stress gavel and I'll echo you every time you hit the gavel.
Oh my god.
Do you remember last year when I was the judge?
No?
You were
I wasn't there that
no,
day.
you were you were the liaison though. Kaylin, do you remember last year when I was the judge? I dressed up in the judge robe and I had the stress gavel. I went, dude,
I'm ready.
I did that. Every time Sean hit the gavel, I hit the stress gavel.
As long as I won't get in trouble for it.
Yeah, my costume's officially here.
Oh boy.
Hear me out, President Kaufman just wears sweatpants because she's never married.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
On Mondays.
No,
Mondays are dress down days for me.
No, I actually have two. I have seen campers.
You can ask my professors.
Okay.
They've definitely seen me in sweats.
I've seen campers.
No shot. Because I didn't feel like finding the name.
How cute all my
I got videos.
It's giving Willy Wonka.
I can't take it. You're gonna smile.
It's giving
But what if I
Willy
don't
Wonka.
want to smile?
That is unfortunately. It has a chair just. You cannot not
No, I said
smile.
what if I don't
Yeah.
smile?
Unfortunately, your band.
That's crazy.
I can't vote.
I was gonna steal that one since it's an empty seat.
That makes so
I
much
wouldn't
sense.
But I was like,
You're down there.
I was just thinking I had.
That's why.
one more.
Oh, yeah, someone's
I made the digital post.
right there.
I'll send her. I know she made it, but I'm not sure if she got it.
Yeah, Senator Bouchard. When we
Good to see
vote,
everyone.
if we do like a vote where we go by name, they're gonna call her name.
Which
So, yeah, no
It's,
problem.
it's our 1080 candidate, so it's like the worst candidate
Yeah.
Let me just use my
because everything
Google.
our chair deck says they go from back.
No, I've been up here all
Chair
morning.
deck is
Wait,
1080, so
where?
it's like, oh, well, that means it's working camera.
Where are they?
you don't want to use
They were just
awesome
handing
black
them
magic
out.
that will check.
And
Oh,
then
is it the Dunkin' people?
4K.
Yeah, they do that
You don't wanna
midterms
see
and
the
finals.
And then they'd start, they'd like. take
Every
pictures
pore
of
on your face.
Every
literally walking
pore.
by.
I hated
Yeah.
that. I absolutely hated that camera. It was funny. I hated it.
So three of them. I don't know who they went to.
We have one viewer, Noah, is it your mom?
I have 5 PSPs out.
So much.
That's fine. Yeah. Got so quiet.
Yeah.
There's stuff. I haven't sat down. She should know me to call right now. Are you kidding me?
Be like,
Oh,
man, I
sure.
like that. Be like, that's how and he doesn't show
What
up.
if I literally, what if I went for just take a Sharpie on my
He
leg
didn't
and
know
have
he
it
had
say
to freeze
Yoda
that
tattoo?
Yeah, because like he could do it.
That would be the funniest thing ever.
No. He,
I would do
Honestly-
eyeliner instead. Like not even your name tattoo,
Just say Yoda tattoo.
That would actually be really funny.
What kind of shorts would have a Senate camp?
thank you, I told you.
I won't open it now.
I'll let her know
I'll-
like what you ordered somewhere.
I don't know.
I will, I mean, I can open it.
I don't know. Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna pass it on. Oh wait, I really hope that you didn't get that facial expression.
Come this is
No.
something that- Oh.
I wish I could sit in the middle, that would, yeah.
Just like.
Just go underneath the table.
No, I mean, no, the color shirt.
I'd like to.
Sorry,
I could just stand on a meeting or. And I could I love it.
360
Every single year, the newer places are fun. Every single year.
Central AC.
Have a photo.
Can we do that now?
So the agenda is intact today, so if we want to take a group
That's
photo.
why you open up the window.
Start with a minute or two.
18,000.
What? That's totally fine. How do we want to do it?
I'm gonna make everybody stand up. Hi, everybody. It's PR time. So if you could go stand right here so I can take a lovely little group photo.
I'll just stand in the back.
Taking a photo.
Lexi, can I borrow those glasses?
So you don't.
You
Dom
already
is
have
your
that.
Bandaged to the back row.
I don't have any pink.
Put them on.
I'll stand in the back.
Blanca, get up here.
I want to go.
No, I love your bandage.
How do I get in the circle? I'm not getting squatted. I'm too tall.
Sorority squad, you're in cheer. You should know how to, thank you.
I like it. I like it.
I'm so sorry, but I need you.
Cheers, so
Yeah,
you know how to
you
do
should.
that.
Just duck under the table. Just duck someone up on your shoulder. Duck under. It's just gonna be easier to move.
Oh my god.
Oh, good job, Kat.
That's impressive.
PR time.
You can have them back. He does need something for the photo.
I'm not
Oh, that's right.
Connor, do you want to join?
Thanks.
Okay, everybody look at me and look super cute and awesome and wow, beautiful. Now, does anybody want to take one so I can?
I can do it.
Yeah, Connor. Thank you, Connor. Looking how to get under.
Going under the
Yeah, Connor! Thank you,
I'm
Connor.
just gonna sneak on in.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Julia, wait.
Aw.
I'm coming back.
Come back, come back.
Let's go.
Julia. Get in, Baker. Get in.
I'm not crawling back out before it, so.
Sorry, it's now or never.
All right,
Thank
you.
We made it through PR time.
Wait, we survived?
You survived PR time. Congratulations, everybody.
Watch out.
I hope everyone's
No. I'm gonna say
I
I also kind of yelled at this girl last night too.
Crazy.
Oh.
made him put.
While everyone's still settling in, we have placards today, so make sure you're sitting at the right seat. And there's a camera behind us now to get the entire room, so please do not block it during the meeting. Meeting to order, roll call.
Senator Amsden. Present. Senator Baker. Present. Senator Bissonnette.
Here.
Senator Bouchard.
Here.
Senator Jay Brown.
Here.
Senator Kay Brown.
Here.
Senator Day.
Here.
Senator Desai.
Here.
Senator Godek.
Here.
Senator Gilmartin.
Here.
Senator Holman. Senator Hunt.
Present.
Senator Kilday.
Here.
Senator Lipscomb. Senator Lemieux.
Here.
Senator Lucier.
Here.
Senator McKiernan.
Here.
Senator Miller.
Present.
Senator Piacenza.
Here.
Senator Scorpa.
Present.
Senator Shamorhead.
Present.
Senator Silver.
Here.
Senator Stearns.
Here.
Senator Thapa. Senator Thurston.
Here.
Senator Weiner.
Here.
Chairperson Amaya.
Here.
Chairperson Cloutier.
Here.
Chairperson Greenwood.
Here.
Chairperson Peralt.
Present.
Secretary Bronson. Secretary Langella is here. Vice President Souza.
Here.
President Kaufman.
Present. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Senate meeting. We do not have as packed as of an agenda today as we've seen in the past few weeks, so I'm very, very excited for that. Maybe we might be able to end early. Might. Before we get started with anything, I do just want to thank you all for participating in our little dress down in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Just some quick facts and stuff about breast cancer. In the US alone, 240,000 people a year die of breast cancer. When caught in its earliest stage, the 5-year relative survival rate is 99%, with over 3.8 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. Anyone can help save a life by spreading awareness. Please visit BCRS or NBCF for more resources. Only together can we make a difference. So again, thank you all for participating. If you would like to learn more about those resources, obviously we have our Health and Wellness Center, but the BCRF and NBCF are two great resources to look into. So thank you, everyone. For the acceptance of minutes, I'm going to move to table the minutes because some revisions need to be made. I did look over them. And we were testing out some new software to have the AI kind of help us do them, and there needs to be more revisions before we publish them. So at this time, I just moved to table the 10/8/2024 minutes. Do I hear?
Second.
Okay. We're just going to do a voice vote for that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining, motion passes. Okay, next for our first order of business, we had a senator for the College of Arts and Science resign. I'm going to ask that if you do know who that is, to just respect their privacy. But we do have an alternate that was willing to step up into that role. So I'm going to have you come forward. I'm going to pull up the oath of office, and I'm just going to administer it, and then you can take your seat as a senator. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Samantha,
Do solemnly swear that I will,
do solemnly swear that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
fulfill the duties and responsibilities
fulfill the duties and responsibilities
of the College of Arts and Science representative,
of the College of Arts and Sciences representative,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
uphold and follow
uphold and follow
the policies of the Student Senate and the Student Senate Constitution.
the policies of the Student Senate and the Student Senate Constitution.
Congratulations. Now moving into actual business. Club creations. We're going to start off with the Model United Nations Club. I will pass the floor off to Chairperson Amaya.
Thank you. So at this time, I make the recommendation for the Student Senate to recognize and accept the Model United Nations Club.
So moved.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, we will allocate 5 minutes to this conversation. The floor is yours.
So yeah, this club has been attempting to gain recognition since November of 2023, but due to like some conflict issues and timeline issues, they were not able to start then. And now they've gained substantial interest and they're back on the floor here today. Yeah, they finalized their executive board and they're interested in attending the Harvard Model UN eventually. I would like to pass the floor off to the representative of Model UN to talk more about it.
Hey, my name's Joe. I'm the proposed vice president of Model UN at WNE. So yeah, we're basically looking to start up after a few years of being inactive because this was an active club on campus before. We've got about 20 members interested so far, and we're looking to start membership this year and eventually go to the Harvard conference. And what Model UN does is basically just simulate the United Nations committees and role play as its delegates.
Any questions or comments about this?
First off, I'm actually really excited that Model UN is coming back. I think it is an amazing opportunity for people to actually get into. I remember I did this in high school and it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad Model UN's coming back because I know it has been active since my freshman year.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move, or the conversation's naturally expired. We will move into a roll call vote.
Senator Amsden,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Bissonnette,
Yes.
Senator Bouchard,
Yes.
Senator Brown,
Yes.
Senator Brown,
Yes.
Senator Day,
Abstained.
Senator Desai,
Yes.
Senator Godek,
Yes.
Senator Gilmartin,
Yes.
Senator Holman, Senator Hunt,
Yes.
Senator Kilday,
Yes.
Senator Lipscomb,
Yes.
Senator Lemieux,
Yes.
Senator Lucier,
Yes.
Senator McKiernan, Senator Miller,
Yes.
Senator Piacenza,
Yes.
Senator Scorpa,
Yes.
Senator Shmorad,
Yes.
Senator Silver,
Yes.
Senator Stearns,
Yes.
Senator Thapa, Senator Thurston,
Yes.
Senator Weiner,
Yes.
Vice President Souza,
Yes.
President Kaufman.
Yes.
23-02.
With 23 yes votes, 0 no votes, and 2 abstentions, the motion passes. Next, we will move into the oh, sorry, motorsports is not here today, so we're gonna go ahead and just, I'll move to table that.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, we'll go into a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. Okay. Next, we're moving to constitutional amendments, and I'll hand the floor off to Chairperson Amaya.
Thank you. At this time, I make the recommendation for the Student Senate to recognize and accept the revisions of the Construction Management Association of America.
So moved.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, I'll allocate 5 minutes to this conversation.
So yeah, some revisions that CMAA made was they added an e-board position that has already been filled. They turned it in several weeks ago, however, this had to be tabled due to the last meeting that we had. And yeah, now they're here, and I'd like to pass the floor off to the representative of CMAA, just talk a little bit about it.
My name's Karina. We added a media chair, which is Carolina here, and she runs our Instagram account, and then she's also in charge of making a lot of our posters and letting people know about our events. So far, we really like the position being added, so hopefully you guys approve of it.
The floor is open for questions or comments. Yes.
What is CMAA?
It's the Construction Management Association of America. So it's just our mayor's club.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a voice vote for these. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. Next. Next, we'll move into Rocketry Club Constitution Amendments. Chairperson Amaya, the floor is yours.
So yeah, at this time, I make the recommendation for the Student Senate to recognize and accept the revisions of the WNE Rocketry Club.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a second, allocate 5 minutes to this conversation. The floor is yours again.
So yeah, pretty similar to the Rocketry Club. They also added a e-board position known as the safety manager, which they needed to include since they build rockets and such. They also created a fundraising / sponsor allocation committee that has been replaced with a marketing committee instead. And they also defined 2 tiers of membership in their club. And I want to pass the floor off to the representative of Rocketry Club just to give us more of a rundown and talk more about your club.
Yeah, so hi, everybody. I'm Matt. So we're kind of assigned by the university to have a specific safety manager just because rockets can be dangerous, and we wanted to make sure that whenever the current e-board leaves, that there's always a consistent safety manager available. The 2-tier membership was just that, so that in the future, if we end up going to a competition, then we can maybe figure out who would be a competition member, who wouldn't be a competition member. And the marketing sub-team was just to allocate the old kind of funding committee, which we felt like was kind of unnecessary since we already had a marketing sub-team, so we just moved those responsibilities to that sub-team.
The floor is open for any questions or comments. All right, seeing none, we'll move into a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. Next, we'll move into amendments for SAE Baja. I'll pass the floor back off to Chairperson Amaya.
Thank you. At this time, I make the recommendation for the Student Senate to recognize and accept the revisions of SAE Baja's constitution.
So moved.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, allocate 5 minutes to this conversation. The floor is yours.
This revision was very simple. They added an additional executive board position. They have the membership to back that up, and the position has already been filled. And I would like to pass the floor off to the representative to talk more about it and their club.
Hey, so yeah, it's pretty easy. We just added so basically we had a lead engineer before. Now we have a systems lead engineer and a component lead engineer. It just makes it so that people have different responsibilities now that we have so many people in the club. And we continue to have so many people in the club. I think we still have like in the low 40s. So week 9 doing pretty good. All the projects are moving along pretty good. So yeah, looking forward to this year. Does anyone not know what Baja is at this point that's sitting here? Okay, thank you.
All right, the floor remains open for any questions or comments. Yes.
Oh, do you? Okay.
We do have a lot of new people since 2 weeks ago we just had elections, so yeah.
Well, if you ever want to stop by the room, it's in Sleeth. It's in the mechanical engineering hallway, in the lab hallway. But we built a car from last year. We built a car from scratch. Years past, we basically just modified it, so that's what we're doing it again this year. We compete against 100 other college universities from around the U.S. and the world in a competition. Last year was in Pennsylvania. This year it's going to be in Mechanicsville, Maryland. I know. And we basically designed the whole car in SolidWorks on the computer, and we manufacture the entire thing as much as we can in the machine shop at school, and then anything else we either buy or send out to be made. And last year did pretty well. There's actually a 4-hour endurance race where all 100 teams go once on our dirt track. So it gets pretty rowdy. But we also have a track on campus, so it's pretty fun for us.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. Congratulations to all of you, and congratulations to your new board members. We will be moving into initial budget allocations now, and the first one up on the list is the art club. I'll hand the floor off to Treasurer Pearl.
At this time, I make the recommendation that the art club receive a level A allocation of $750.
So moved.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, we'll allocate 5 minutes to this conversation.
Thank you. So this budget was posted in Kodiak. There is no difference between my recommended amount and the amount that they requested. In terms of their 2023-2024 working budget, they spent $412 of their $500 allocation. So only about $88 of that went unspent, which is pretty reasonable for what we see with our level A clubs and organizations. The requests included traditional events such as their gallery walk event that they do every year, while also now wanting to include 2 new events, which are a paint and sip and a fall flowers event. Overall, in my opinion, this is an extremely fair and reasonable and pretty typical level A budget request. And as you would see if you looked at this in Kodiak, this was initially proposed as a level B budget request. But given that the cap for level A club and organization is $750, my recommendation for this year is to stay level A capped at $750. And then if it goes well this year, then next year I would invite them to consider moving on up to level B.
Are there any questions or comments about this? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? Motion passes. All right, next we will move into the initial budget allocation for the Sports Management Association. The floor is yours again.
At this time, I make the recommendation that the Sport Management Association receive a level A allocation of $610.
So moved.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, we'll have to add 5 minutes to this conversation. The floor is yours.
So once again, there is no difference between my recommended amount and their requested amount. For their working budget last year, they spent $128 of their level C allocation of $1,500. Therefore, $1,372 is unspent from last year, which is why you see a drop in both their requests and their level this year. The request includes a bunch of different events that they want to do this year, such as a flag football showdown, a fall pizza party with the sport management professors and students, a spring spike ball showdown, and then a spring pizza party with professors and sport management students. And overall, similar to the art club budget we just saw, this is a pretty fair and reasonable level A budget request.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Aye.
One abstention again. Motion passes. Okay, next up is the yearly mold discussion. For those of you who have been here in prior years, almost every single year, around this time, around flu season, there's always discussions about mold in the quad. We've had facilities come in years past and give pretty similar presentations and show us videos about what exactly might be causing it, if it is actually there, and how most of the time it's not actually mold, it's scuff marks on the ceiling, things like that. Myself and Chairperson Cloutier have been talking with Dave Rosinski about creating a video about mold and mold safety, how it is formed, specifically for the first year students who live in the quad, just so they know when exactly it is actually mold and how to address it. If you guys would like to speak on it, I'll go ahead and give you guys the floor.
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Tim. I'm the environmental health and safety manager. So yeah, every year around this time we see quite a few work orders. With that, we normally do normal cleaning, inspections, we change filters, but just some things I just want to make everyone aware of is that in the quads specifically and in Commonwealth, what we have is recirculating systems. So with those systems, it filters the air throughout that room. So some things that you could do to help have a cleaner space, just make sure it's not obstructed. Any like wet clothes or towels or anything, make sure you hang those up to dry. Just having a cleanly room will help in general. This is also allergy season, so we see a spike in allergens around this time, which makes people's allergies flare up, obviously, and then they can be attributed to mold. And then the last thing I want to say is if you see mold, a lot of people assume it's black mold, very dangerous mold. There are thousands of types of mold. Mold is ubiquitous, right? It's in this room right now. So just because you're seeing this mold doesn't mean it's really, really dangerous black mold. You can just be in general. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nick.
Hi, everybody. So Nick Delvano, the manager of housekeeping. So we've worked on a program that we have recently started where we're trying to get into every single one of the rooms in the quads, so we can just do an overall check of the condition of the environment. So that way we're a little more proactive, and the students in that space don't have to worry about putting in a work order or calling us for whatever reason. We just want to make sure that we're ahead of that, and we're going to work to revamp that program because we've had some access issues and things lately with getting into all of the rooms, whether it be students staying in there or sleeping, and we definitely don't want to infringe on anybody's space. So we tend to keep out of rooms where students are sleeping or where access is denied to us. But we're going to work again to get to as many rooms as possible, and then again identify and schedule with each one of those students how and when we can get into the room for them, so the condition of the environment is what it should be, and that these students can focus on their studies and not have to worry about any of that stuff.
I'll open the floor for questions or comments. Yes.
I know specifically in Commonwealth, the main area with mold is in the showers, and I know a lot of that is because the doors aren't left open, like the doors need to be left open to help that. But what is that? Is that truly just the only solution? Like leaving the doors open and trying to air out, or?
I would think so. So I would have to check in with HVAC on that because that's not my expertise, but I believe that's what was done historically, but we would take a look at everything and see, if there's anything else that we can do.
Yes.
Just to talk a little bit more about that video part that Cam was talking about. Dave Rosinski has showed us being Senate videos in the past from the University of San Diego, and they're just like short little 5-minute clips that first educate people, kind of like what you guys just did, to kind of ease concern, and especially ease concern from parents, because facilities get a lot of pressure from parents who believe their kids are living in rooms with mold. We think like a video like that would be helpful to put out on our campus. And it would also include like things that you could do to prevent mold in your room. So if anybody's interested in helping with that, we're thinking about maybe getting the peer advising program and the RA program involved too. So reach out to me.
For the video, how would it be like distributed? Would it be over email? Would it be done like in their freshman seminar class?
Yeah, it's still, I'm assuming it would be more of an email situation. Also like posting it on the Instagram or like the school Facebook, which is where a lot of parents look for information, would be helpful.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
So there's no actual mold, it just looks like mold?
It depends, it's a case by case basis. Sometimes there is. We do our best to do filter changes, clean the ventilation system as best we can. Other times it's scuff marks or really careful ceiling tiles and things like that, so. But yeah, if you see anything that you're even potentially concerned with, put a marker in. It makes sense, be on this routine schedule.
I want to say, if my memory serves me correctly, the last time we went through every single one of the rooms in the quads and had a thorough inspection, only about 14% of the 120 something rooms had a minimal amount of mold in it, which, you know, been scheduled and addressed, but it's a very small amount.
Is there ever a situation in which a student should be cleaning, like if they see mold, they should be cleaning it themselves, or is there like a safety?
If they feel comfortable with that, that's completely up to them. If they don't feel comfortable, like I said, put a work order. We're happy to do that for you. If it's a significant amount of mold, which I've yet to see.
Yeah.
How would you clean mold?
So any really chlorine-based kind of chemical, but we have something that's probably not accessible to the students where it's similar to bleach but a little more concentrated, and it actually kills mold on contact, and then we follow up with a different type of product that you spray and leave on after the space has been cleaned, and the residual helps prevent mold from coming back.
So Clorox and that those type of like over-the-counter products would work.
Well, you could, yeah. I mean, as long as you remove it and then the source is gone, it would prevent it from growing. But I think what we have goes a little bit harder.
Yeah, seven of them.
I know in all the law room bathrooms, there's a vent. Are those vents supposed to be like circulating, like the air in there? Because I know personally my bathroom got completely covered with mold within the first week of school. And we prop our door open now and like to let it circulate. But our cleaning lady was talking about something about how our vent was supposed to be working. But I know both of them in our room don't, and in a few others don't as well.
Did you put a work order in?
We did to get rid of the mold, and she said that someone was gonna come back, but.
Okay, we can check, let me follow up with you
Okay.
after, we can check in with the HVAC.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the vents that are in the Commonwealth bathroom, they don't work?
At all.
There's no more there, because if we have to pop the door open, does that mean they work? Or?
I would assume that it helps with airflow, but we can look into that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
This is just kind of an initial conversation. If you guys want more information, we're happy to do a PowerPoint on, we can show some pictures of what to do and whatnot.
Yes. I think the best thing for us to probably do is to go forward with like working with you guys, creating that video and distributing it. That way every year we don't have the same conversations over and over again, and we're being more proactive about it. I know initial conversations did come up right before the summer about doing stuff like that, but then they fell through a little bit because of summer break. So I think that would probably be the best way for us to approach it, and just seeing everyone's reaction, I think everyone agrees. So we'll be working together on that. If there is a need, if you guys genuinely feel that it would be good to have them come back again and then do a PowerPoint, because I know we have a lot of new senators, both from the beginning of the term and our midterm elections, please reach out. I will let you guys know in advance so you're prepared, and we can have a more thorough discussion about that. But in the interest of time, we will be moving on. Thank you both for coming again and talking about this with us.
Thanks.
So next we have a rules package amendment for budget penalties, and also paired with that a slight amendment to the reclamations policy in the rules package. So I'm gonna start with just reclamations and talk about that. So at this time, I move for Senate to accept the budget reclamations amendment.
Second.
All right, hearing a second, I'll allocate 5 minutes to this conversation. So I wrote both of these up. In front of you should be a current and proposed version of the budget reclamations policy. So our reclamations policy currently states that after the finance committee completes any audit of any club or organization, the president, treasurer, or any member of the finance committee can motion to reclaiming part or all of the organization's budget allocation that went unspent after the previous planned spending period. I wanted to amend that because all of us have access to those budgets, especially after Treasurer Peralt looks at them. And all of you are elected student leaders. I feel like there shouldn't be as many stipulations on your motioning powers. So if you truly do believe after looking at that and with the information before you that there should be a budget reclamation, then you guys should be able to put that forward. So I changed the language to instead of the president, treasurer, or any member of the finance committee, any member of the Senate can do it. So are there any questions or comments about that? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote.
Senator Amsden?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yes.
Senator Bissonnette?
Yes.
Senator Bouchard?
Yes.
Senator J. Brown?
No.
Senator K. Brown?
Yes.
Senator Day?
Yes.
Senator Desai?
Yes.
Senator Godek?
Yes.
Senator Gilmartin?
Yes.
Senator Holman? Senator Hunt?
Yes.
Senator Kilday?
Yes.
Senator Lipscomb?
Yes.
Senator Lemieux?
Yes.
Senator Lucier?
Yes.
Senator McKiernan?
Yes.
Senator Miller?
Yes.
Senator Piacenza?
Yes.
Senator Scorpa?
Yes.
Senator Shmurad?
Yes.
Senator Silver?
Yes.
Senator Stearns?
Yes.
Senator Thapa? Senator Thurston?
Yes.
Senator Weiner?
Yes.
Vice President Souza?
Yes.
President Kaufman?
Yes.
21-1-0, or 23-1-0, sorry.
With 23 yes votes, 1 no vote, and 0 abstentions, the motion passes. All right. Next, we're gonna move into the penalties portion of this. So at the back side of that and on the little separate paper, there's a little description of that. But at this time, I move for Senate to amend the rules package and add budget penalties.
Second.
All right, here in a second, I'll have a 5-minute discussion about that. So I do want to give you all the opportunity to just read through this, and then I'll go over it a little bit more. So I'm gonna let the first minute and a half of that for you guys to just go ahead and look through it. And then after that, I'll say a few things, and then we'll open the floor to more questions and comments. Another 30 seconds. So with this, I am proposing this to you all for the main reason of there needs to be a way for us to, especially after we make recommendations, we look over budgets and the finance committee does their audits on organizations. There needs to be a way for us to punish fiscally irresponsible spending. If there are organizations that are completely varying from what their request is and what they say they're going to do in terms of like what they buy, then that should be something that we act upon. For example, if a group says in a budget request, and it's a request that we approve, that they're going to do 3 events, and instead they just do 1 and then spend the rest of their money on merchandise, which they originally didn't have proposed, that could be an issue and they should be penalized for that. Or if they're, as the reasons state in this, inappropriate use of those funds, unapproved purchases, things like that, things that are flagged by student involvement or by us when we look over certain things. Failure to submit receipts or financial reports by required deadlines when we do audits at the end of the semester. They typically tend to be a pain because a lot of groups don't want to do them, and we've never really had a response to that. This is a way to respond to it and actually force their hand in doing an audit to make sure that they are being fiscally responsible as well. Mismanagement or overspending allocations beyond the approved budget. If they're overspending where they're already in the negative, we can't penalize them. Like, we can't put them further into the negative. Ultimately, we have to reconcile that amount that they overspent no matter what. But that's pulling from other groups too. So, but if they are mismanaging their funds, as I said before, this again is another way that we could put a stop to that and make it so it's not encouraged for other groups to do it. And then violations of any policies outlined by student senate, student involvement and connections, or the university. This includes the marketing policy, any policies put in place by student involvement in the club and organization handbook, legislative policies, things like that. As legislative chair, I had so many instances of groups not wanting to update their constitutions and basically just adding a ton of e-board positions and not willing to talk with me about it. And now when you need to have a full e-board to do things like activate and actually get your allocations and stuff like that, there's issues being caused by it. And this is another way to prevent that as well. I have it. So again, any member of the Senate may introduce a motion or recommendation for a budget penalty. Along with that, it must specify the violation committed, the exact amount that they're being penalized for. If your motion fails to do that, it cannot be voted upon. It will be point of ordered by me or someone else. And if somehow it does get through, hopefully someone will put forward a reconsideration vote too, because it is against our rules to do that. And I'm sure there would be multiple people along the line to stop that from happening because it needs to be specified. Along with that, the motion for a budget penalty shall require a 2/3 majority vote of members present and voting to pass. I'm going to seek to unanimous consent to add 5 more minutes to the conversation. Any objections? Okay, seeing none, 5 more minutes are added. It does require a 2/3 majority of voting members present to pass. That's just a way to check on us. Make sure that if we are taking money back from a club or organization in the form of a punishment, it's very, very well supported by the elected members of this body. And it's not just a slim majority that are saying, we want this money to be taken back. We don't think they're being fiscally responsible and they've broken the rules. Along with that too, even if it does pass, the Treasurer and Finance Committee chairperson shall have the authority to execute their treasurer's veto on any budget penalties passed by the Senate. That is a way to make sure that if we are doing a penalty that passes and it just makes it so that their clubs and organizations are inoperable, the person with the most knowledge about those clubs and organizations has the opportunity to veto that, or to be honest, if they just disagree with it too. Ultimately, again, if they disagree with it and the veto happens, then it stops it from happening again. And we have to move on, and that club will keep their money and we'll just move on till the end of the day, at the end of the day, and hope that they're being fiscally responsible going forward. Along with that, clubs and organizations must be notified of any budget penalty the Senate has under consideration or passes. And then on top of that as well, any budget penalty motion that is made without prior notice to the affected club or organization shall automatically be tabled until the next Senate general meeting. This way, they have a chance to come to us, make their case against that budget penalty, and we are not just doing them without them here. They have the opportunity to come, they have the opportunity to write us a letter. If they choose not to show up after being given notice, that's on them. If they try their best to be here and then they can't, we'll obviously work with them and we'll table it further. But in the event where the reason why it can't just be tabled until they be there, if they're just ignoring us, then we can't pass it. So I'll open the floor to questions or comments about this. Senator Skork was first.
So if a club were not able to hold an event, like last minute something emergency status happens and like their 3 events can't happen, maybe they'll do 2 this year instead. Could that be kind of waived from the budget policy if that club reaches out to you and work something out? How would that go?
Yeah, I think similar to what President Kaufman said, like by no means is this myself or like my committee or Senate just wanting to like attack clubs. So personally, like if I had found that out, my first step would be reaching out to them to set up a meeting to figure out what actually happened. And like in your example, there is where I would learn that, okay, there was an emergency situation or something went wrong last minute that prevented it from happening. It's not just that club choosing not to have that event or spend that money. And as a result, nothing would come from that. Yes.
So effectively, when we levy a financial penalty, it's effectively the fine to the club. So what if a club is found, like, I guess I'm gonna say guilty, how do we determine how much a fine is?
That it's has to be specified in the motion. So whoever's putting it forward has to put forward the amount too. So it's whatever the senator, or if it's Treasurer Peralta or Legislative Chair Maya, it would be whatever they specify it to be.
So the only protection against like grossly fining a club is the senators voting?
Yes, you guys could also put forward an amendment to any motion. So a club has $250 as an allocation, and then someone motions to penalty them for $250. Someone else could amend the motion and drop it down to 10 if they want to, and we'd have to vote on that. So there are additional steps in place, and you all have the ability to make sure that situation doesn't happen. Yes.
If the penalty is a fine, then how is this different from the reclamation?
Reclamations are only to be used when clubs and organizations have no plan put forward after an audit, specifically for, say, in the circumstance that you brought up, Senator Skorpa, they weren't able to do an event and they have no plans to do that event and they have no other plans to do anything else. That passes because an audit's done upon it and they have no other way to spend that money. So it's going to be reallocated to something else. This is when there's policy violations specifically. So, yes.
On that note, would these funds from fines be reallocated?
Yes.
Also, okay.
Yeah. And also, they do have the opportunity to come back for an additional allocation for them. So we could levy the fine and then just give the money back to them if they have a reason for it to come back. And they do propose an argument to all of us or Treasurer Peralta that they should get that money back. Yes.
If they go over budget, you have to pay the money back. The money is paid back by the Senate.
Yes. It comes out of our budget.
Would they be like fined next year, like they would be given less money, or would they be given more money so they don't overdraft again?
It would be up to the treasurer's discretion. There are certain circumstances where groups do go over budget for legitimate reasons. For example, if like Stageless Players has an emergency cost when they're doing their shows and it puts them a little bit over budget, that's not necessarily a situation where we're going to penalize them because during their tech week, they have to buy stuff in order to do that. If they go into the negative, typically we'll cover it. And that might affect how the treasurer does their allocation. But from year to year, it's going to change with the person in charge of that. And I'm going to seek to add 5 more minutes to this conversation. Okay. 5 more minutes has been added. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes.
What if they do create an e-board position and it's not in the Constitution? How would that play out with this whole budget penalty?
And if Chairperson Amaya or a senator feels the need to put it forward to penalize them, then they have every right to do so. Yes.
In like those case scenarios, would there be the option to request a budget freeze instead of a budget penalty?
Yes. The freezes are a little bit different. Freezes, I might need to look at that specifically in the rules package, but I believe freezes need to be signed off by 4 of us, president, vice president, treasurer, and legislative chair, but you guys could recommend it forward. And if we would like to amend that too, so anyone could motion that forward instead, so you all have that power as well, then we can look into that as well. Yes.
I know that a lot of these things that don't happen are accompanied now by a budget freeze. Like if you don't turn in your monthly report, you get a budget freeze. Would the budget still be frozen and then someone could also recommend this, or are we getting rid of the budget freeze?
It could be both.
Okay.
Yeah, the budget freezes, well, I'll have the floor to you.
Yeah, in my thinking of how I would probably go about this, typically, like when in doubt, it will always be a budget freeze first. It's almost just more of like a warning, like nothing drastic happens, because when your account is frozen, you do have the chance to do what needed to be done the first time in order to correct that. But I don't know, let's say there was a club that like their first monthly report, they didn't do it, I froze them. They did it like 3 weeks later and they were unfrozen. Let's say that was for September. October, same thing happens. November, same thing happens. I'm not just gonna keep refreezing and refreezing, because at some point, like that's not teaching them their lesson of what we need from them and like what ultimately I need to do my job. So that's why we're proposing this today. So that way, like there will be consequences that will actually get people to understand the rules. Yes.
Can the two of you talk a little bit about how often like clubs actually are violating policies that would
Yes.
call the fine?
Yeah. From my experience, honestly, it's not often. I think typically, normally it's at the start of the school year, like once people need to get their budgets in again or resubmit their application packets, and now with like the monthly reports, those are the typical situations. I would say throughout the school year, maybe like 6 or 8 clubs will come up throughout the course of the year, as President Kaufman was mentioning, like adding e-board positions without getting them cleared by Senate, changing things in their constitutions, going over budget, stuff like that. So I honestly don't foresee this being used a whole lot. It's more so it's just a protection for when those things do happen.
I will say too, and Chairperson Amaya could probably attest to this, the e-board positions happen way more than we probably think they do. And they happen oftentimes enough for me to bring it up, because there's been so many times where I brought up a club's constitution with them and go over it with them and see what they want to add. And they're like, well, we have these 3 positions and they're not even in there. And it's like, when did you add those positions? We don't know. They were added before I was even here. That's an issue, because that's, again, inhibits them from getting certain things done, reactivating and doing other things as well. I know you've had to.
Yeah, speaking more on that, yeah, that's adding e-board positions is one of the big things that I see on legislative matters. And I feel like sometimes there's just a miscommunication on that. People don't know that they're supposed to update their constitution to add additional e-board positions or even make minor fixes to it. They still need to see me and go through that process. So I always reach out to the clubs when I catch that, when someone tells me or if I know I need to. And whether they respond to me or not would kind of be like with the budget penalty would come into place, because if they're communicating with me and we can meet together or they fix the correction, there would be no need for this. But if they are consistently just ignoring my emails or not doing what they need to do, that's where this could come into play.
Treasurer for all. Just commenting on what Chairperson Amaya said, I remember when I first became finance chair, I want to say it was like April of 2023. I remember a situation came up where there was a constitutional violation, and at the time there was a different legislative chair in place, and we had reached out to the club, and at first they had not responded to us, which is why him and I both decided together to put an account freeze on that club. As soon as they got back to us and worked with us to fix their constitution and it was voted on by Senate, it was immediately lifted. So I think like Chairperson Amaya said, like when in doubt, we always try to like reach out first to see what's going on or to talk to people. It's never normally just like immediate account freeze or like budget reclamation or budget penalty, because I mean, it's not good for us either, because at the end of the day, our goal is to help clubs and orgs. So that's why we always do that as our first step.
All right, I'm going to seek to add 3 more minutes to the conversation. Any objections? I've seen none. I did also want to say too, again, from a legislative perspective, we are mandated to review constitutions every 3 years, I believe. And having something like this is going to actually make sure that we do it, because the amount of times I do reach out to club e-board members who I know for a fact are those e-board members saying, hey, can we just look at your constitution real quick, even if it's up to date? I just want to make sure you know everything that's in there. We could probably even just do it over email. I just got to make sure it's good. And the amount of times I've just not been responded to, even after following up upwards of 6 times, is ridiculous. So this is also going to help us actually do our jobs as constitutionally mandated, in my view, because that's a policy that we have to follow, and it's a policy that they have to follow too. Along with this too, there are certain stipulations that groups have in their constitutions that if they are found in violation of their own constitution, we could also apply this to as well, because those constitutions are approved by us. Those are policies that are approved by the Student Senate. Therefore, we could levy a penalty against them in those circumstances. And they should know, and if it's in their own constitution, if it's a violation or not. So, any other questions or comments about this? Yes.
Is this something we're gonna be relaying to clubs?
Yes.
Like, do they already know?
In terms of like this being a thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think like kind of what I was mentioning earlier, like if let's say a club had committed an offense, whatever that might be, and I reach out to them and explain to them what it was and what they need to do. And let's say like it was the club monthly report and that would come with an account freeze traditionally. I might also stipulate in there that like if you do not respond or at least attempt to get this working within the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, like there will be X amount of fine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, there will be notice more so on an as is happening basis, because again, I don't foresee this being like a very common practice of us.
Yes.
Could we potentially add like some language saying that like we should meet with the club first before like anything? Because I know like the only protection against them is the major vote, but I still want like some understanding.
Well, that's also why we have to inform them of coming to the next meeting too, so that they can make their case here. So there's 2 protections there, the 2/3 and the fact that they need notice that this is happening and they need the opportunity to be here. Whenever we have this under consideration, it's automatically tabled if it's not on the agenda and they're not notified. So there is already a 2-pronged stage of protection for clubs and organizations in that regard. If you have an amendment that you'd like to propose to it to add a 3rd one, we're open to it.
Yes. Kind of going off Baker's point, I don't know if it'll be included in the email to them, but something saying that they could like try to come and like justify or see what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Could that be added somewhere? Is
That is what that is. That's why they're able to come back, and that's why it stipulates that we have to give them notice. If we give them notice, they have the opportunity to come here and talk with us about the action being taken against them. Yes.
How long of a notice will the clubs receive?
Assuming that the next general Senate meeting isn't like called early and it's not on an early called meeting, it's 7 days. So.
Yeah, like I think going off of that, if something happened on like a Monday, I'm probably not gonna schedule it for the next day. Senate meeting, I'm probably gonna wait until the following week. But like if something happened on Wednesday, for example, then I probably would have that for the following Tuesday Senate meeting.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a roll call vote.
Senator Amsden. Senator Baker.
Yes.
Senator Bissonnette.
Yes.
Senator Bouchard.
Yes.
Senator Brown.
Yes.
Senator Brown.
Yes.
Senator Day.
Yes.
Senator Desai.
Yes.
Senator Godek.
Yes.
Senator Gilmartin.
Yes.
Senator Holman. Senator Hunt.
Yes.
Senator Kilday.
Yes.
Senator Lipscomb.
Yes.
Senator Lemieux.
Yes.
Senator Lucier.
Yes.
Senator McKiernan.
No.
Senator Miller. Senator Piacenza.
Yes.
Senator Scorpa.
Yes.
Senator Shomorad,
Yes.
Senator Silver,
Yes.
Senator Stearns, Senator Thapa, Senator Thurston,
Yes.
Senator Weiner,
Yes.
Vice President Souza,
Yes.
President Kaufman.
Yes.
24-1-0.
With 24 yes votes, 1 no vote, and 0 abstentions, the motion passes. I do just want to say too, the rules package and any policies that are in there can be amended by any of you at any time. So I know there was a lot of questions about possibly adding things. If any of you have any proposals for that, feel free to bring them up at a Senate meeting. If you would like me to add them to the agenda, I will be sure to add them and we can have further discussions about that as well. You all are empowered to do that. So next we will be moving into visitors' comments. Are there any visitors' comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into reports and start with the executive reports with the finance committee chairperson, the floor is yours.
So the first thing I have to report on this week is that ASCE was granted an immaterial allocation of $400. So for the new senators, just a little bit of context. One of the powers that I have is granting clubs and organizations what's known as immaterial allocations. These are essentially additional allocations, except they're under $500 and they're simple enough in nature that we don't need to present them to the entire Senate and deliberate about them. I know a lot of common examples I've seen before. It's like if someone's printer runs out of ink, that in my opinion doesn't need to deserve the attention of the entire Senate and take up time on business for that. So it's something that I can recommend within the Finance Committee. So in order for my recommendation within my Finance Committee to pass, I need a 2/3 majority passing vote. And so for this ASCE $400 immaterial allocation, I had 8 yes votes, 0 no votes, and 0 abstentions. So that was passed. And the event that they're hosting is a night of networking event, which will take place on Thursday, November 7th. And it is a collaboration event with CMAA. They will have 11 professionals within the fields of both civil engineering and construction management. And the request is to provide a catered dinner for the professionals, students, faculty, and staff that will be in attendance. If anyone has any questions, concerns, comments about that, please feel free to reach out to me. Another thing that I have to report on is the Neuroscience Club was given a reserve allocation of $480. And typically throughout the year, we'll always see a couple reserve allocations given to clubs that kind of happen behind the scenes with myself and my committee. And this one was for an account correction that took place for them at the end of last year. They were purchasing backpacks. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the backpacks that the College of Pharmacy students have. Neuroscience was doing the same thing and they were working with the same company as pharmacy. So the company accidentally billed the pharmacy number instead of the Neuroscience Club number, which is why that invoice went unpaid. And since it's not a fault of the students, we just granted them that money so that way they didn't have to use it out of their budget from this year. Another thing, I sent an email to all club and org presidents and posted it in the Student Leadership Kodiak on October 10th. And I will be posting another reminder this Thursday, the 24th, and also emailing that. But just as a reminder, the social media account registration form must be completed by October 31st, end of day midnight. And also the student involvement monthly report must be completed by Friday, November 1st at 5 p.m. And any club and organization that does not complete those by those deadlines will have their accounts frozen during the following meeting, which would be November 5th. Additionally, I think it was last meeting, before break, we had the conversation of the Muslim Student Association additional allocation. And after further deliberation and talks with them, I decided not to move forward with that. And when I was conferring with their president and their treasurer, I did give a recommendation that was given here of encouraging them to collaborate with the other colleges and universities that are going to be hosting this event, as well as potentially exploring the idea of charging individuals, since they're bringing in a lot of individuals other than Western New England students through the use of university tickets. And I received a very polite response from him, basically just saying he understood my rationale behind my decision and that they were still going to do the event and were hoping to do some fundraising And they're definitely interested in exploring the option of trying to generate some revenue with tickets for that. So that event will still be going on, which I'm very happy to hear about.
Right. Moving to legislative chairperson.
So yeah, for my report, I have some constitutions I'm currently reviewing and should be on the agenda. Pre-farm is currently, again, still updating their constitution. I've not heard back from them yet. However, I did receive Golden Steppers, which is the step team's constitution. They are looking to create a club sport constitution and be increased to a club sport. So please look forward to that on next agenda. And also, looking forward for the next agenda, Motorsports Club has also submitted all of their materials to me, currently under review. They had been looking to be a club since last fall, I believe. And they were unfortunately not able to be here today, so they will be on the agenda next week. And just for comments for myself, the legislative ranking member is Emily Day.
For those of you who don't know, each committee chairperson can appoint someone to be their ranking member. It's basically a sign of, I guess, experience and also trust. So in the situation where Chairperson Amaya is not here, Senator Day might be asked to do certain things on her behalf. So congratulations. But yeah, we'll be moving on to the campus relations chairperson.
Okay, so I'll start with campus improvement projects. So I have a meeting on Friday with Dave Rosinski and Steve Roberts on the site of the actual garden to discuss plans to put in some sort of functioning water source, something like a fountain, and also to put lighting up in the trees to kind of make that area more approachable to students. I'm also, just out of curiosity, asked Dave to drop a quote for putting a basketball court in Gateway, like I've talked about in other meetings. We're thinking that it's gonna be really expensive, but out of curiosity, we're gonna do the quote anyway. Aside from campus improvement projects, I'm sure you guys have noticed there's delivery robots on campus. They're delivering Grubhub from the dining hall and lower dining hall. I know that there's some mixed feedback on those from students, especially in relation to budget cuts. So I'm gonna look into more about how that's being received by the student body. Finally, please fill out the club faculty staff of the month form. Right now I have 5 responses. I'm wondering if it would be easier for you all if I did sort of like a multiple choice from the responses that I already have. So that way, there's less choices for you. Yeah, okay. So I'll get that out to you tonight and please fill it out. It'll be even shorter than the 5-minute one that's already there, so.
All right, and moving to public relations.
So the public safety meet and greet is coming up. It's scheduled to be on the 7th of November. So I'll be working with my committee on that. I'll be working with Bridget to work on that some more, figuring out what we want to do as far as food wise, all of that detail stuff. But I will be talking to my committee sometime this week to get you guys all in the loop on all of those details with that going on. Along with that, I post weekly agendas. I do the U post. I'm gonna do making a TikTok today. Basically, we went to the open house for Golden Bear weekend, and then the open house previously, which is not the previous set, but yeah, it was the other set. So I'm just gonna do like a little what happened that. So be on the out for that. And yeah, that's all I have.
All right. For liaison report from our academic secretary, she is not here today, but she did post some information that she got from Registrar Brian Beck in our group meeting. So please go look through that. And if you have any questions or comments about that, reach out to Secretary Bronson. Next, Senator's comments. Are there any? Yes.
I just have a couple updates regarding the senior class. So graduation applications are available in self-service. If you go into self-service, there's like all the little boxes of options. It's its own option. It says graduation. The application takes literally 30 seconds. It just asks for the name you want on your diploma, or your degree, where you want your degree to be shipped, and the phonetic spelling of your name. If you are graduating in the winter, please fill it out immediately. I did not get a due date for that. But if you are planning on graduating in May, the due date for the application to be submitted is November 4th. You have to submit this application in order to graduate. It's very important, so please do so. The senior class council is also holding their 200 days until graduation event on Thursday. So tickets are available on U-Tickets for $10, which includes transportation to and from White Line Brewery, which is downtown, a free beer, free appetizers. Tickets are available Thursday until 10 a.m. I know we're really excited about it. Ticket sales have been going pretty good so far. So any seniors, if you're hoping to go, please buy your tickets. We would love to have.
Any other senators' comments? Yes.
So this is more just a question that might go to campus relations. I was going through the little outcrop over there with the pond, the little forested area. And as I was walking, there were a couple of empty water bottles, an empty energy drink bottle, and a Hershey's chocolate sauce bottle that was cut down the middle, just sitting there. Would it be possible to get like a trash can or anything over there?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Senator Dale.
My last comment is the class of 27 is doing long sleeve shirt sales that are up on university tickets. They're universal, they're not just marketed towards the class. Personally, I think they're really cute, so if you would like to support our class, the shirts are $15 and they're up on university tickets and also on our Instagram.
I had a couple comments, but I'm going to post them in the group me right after this meeting. But the biggest thing that I do want to address is I heard a lot of complaints and a lot of people came to me about an incident with the cheerleading team that happened over Golden Bear weekend with safety concerns. Both them and the dance team have reached out to me directly, and I've been talking with them. I have a meeting with Greg Matthews later today to talk about that. And I'll be working with both of those clubs and organizations to talk more about that. We might have a further discussion about that next Tuesday, so just be on the lookout for that. Other than that, I have nothing else, so now I'll move to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? I felt like so mundane today. Oh, yeah, she did.